Welcome back to the F150 audio upgrade project that I have going on here. My previous video focused on the installation of the upgraded stereo head unit, Kenwood unit that I have. That works great. This video, I'm actually recording this section after the project has been completed, so this is sort of a post-intro video that I wanted to make for this specific video, focusing on the installation of the amp and subwoofer. So in this, I'll run through the power wire run from the battery to the amplifier on one side of the truck, and then the speaker wires and remote start wire going up from the amplifier through the trim work of the truck to the head unit, and how I ended up connecting the speaker wires that run from the amplifier into the wires that run out to the rest of the truck for the speakers. You know, this was my first time attempting a project like this, so I made some mistakes along the way that I certainly learned from. I'm happy to help anyone with any questions. So hope you like the video. And I'll get into it here with how the project went. And over on the driver's side, where we have the RCA cables, I already took off some of the paneling here. This panel is extremely easy to get up. You just get your fingers underneath it and give it a tug. Same thing with the back seat. So I just pulled this out. So what I'm going to do is use that same fishing cable and fish these RCAs back to the back, and then I will run them up under the dash and to the head unit where they will connect. Perfect. So now they are through the doors. I will need to run the power cable, which I've got laying on the ground there, through either this side or that side. And unfortunately, because I want to run power on one side and RCA cables on the other, that way the power doesn't cause interference electronically with the RCA cable. So one on one side, one on the other. Unfortunately, the RCA cables that I have are 12 feet long, and I don't think I can run them on the passenger side of the truck, which would have been a little bit easier because to get through the firewall right down here is easy to access inside the truck. To get to the firewall through here is easy enough from this side, but when you come over to the truck and look here, and I've got the dash or the glove box pulled out, and you can see where the air filter is back there, kind of. It is much more difficult to see exactly where the firewall hole is going to come through. So what I have is some fish tape that I'm gonna stick through there, see if I can find it when it comes through, and then use it to pull the power cable back through this way so that I can get it connected to the battery eventually. And I just got lucky. This thing literally came right through underneath the dash, right where I wanted it to come through at. I can't believe that it's right there. So I will get the power cable taped up to it, and then I'll be able to pull it through. So I've taped it up. I just wanted to show you how that's taped, and I sprayed some WD-40 on the tape there because it's going to be a tight fit coming back. So I want to do anything I can to help make sure it gets through without becoming disconnected. Not sure if you can see that, but it just started to come through. So I have wire. I just fished the power wire. Put the panel back on. I just pushed it manually. Didn't have to use the fishing line this time. Just under here. I was able to reach back with my hand through here and pull it out and run it over to where the amp is going to go. Again, these are pretty simple things to take off, like the weather stripping here. So I got all that put back together and realized I've been working way too long today at this, because I completely forgot on the other side, where I've already ran the RCA wires, that I need to run all the speaker wire and the remote start wire for the amp. So I have a lot more work to do as far as that goes. So I did a lot of work without the camera involved here because it was getting kind of late last night and pretty dark. I cut the power wire that will go to the amp and installed this kicker fuse on it. And there's a nice location. There's a clip here that you can't really see. There's a clip sticking out that I zip tied the fuse to so that it's nice and secure, won't go anywhere, and then I wrapped the wire around and connected it to the power side of the battery. I have seen some people try to secure the fuse, or that fuse to the fuse box lid here, which I did not want to drill into this, and, you know, because in case there's ever potential for water, there are elements to get in there. So I think that was a nice location for the fuse box to be mounted to. Okay, so fresh day again. I have my thoughts better organized because I got a little frustrated yesterday because Crutchfield Advisor recommended a 12-foot RCA cable. It was like a four pack with 4 extenders, so I have that routed up underneath the dash and connecting into the back of the head unit. The problem is, as we look into the back, it barely makes it out here. So if I have the amp mounted up here somewhere, this just doesn't reach. I need like a foot more. So what I've done for now is I've purchased some connectors and additional length of RCA cable so that I can extend it just a little bit. I don't know if that's the best way to go, right? I'm assuming one wire, no connections is cleanest, but I'm going to do it this way for now because that's all I have. So I'll show you while I'm here how to get the trim up and exposed. Pretty simple to pull that up. You can see I have the wires running through here. If you want to open this up a little bit, you can pull up the weather stripping. I'll actually pull it off up here. because this will be easier if I unclip this just a little bit to get things through here, because I will be running speaker wire today as well. So from the amp, speaker wire back up through here, and I'll do it up underneath the dash here. It's difficult to see with the lighting, but I'll then connect with zip ties running up atop the top there, and pull the speaker wires in here. And so what I need to figure out as well is exactly how I'm going to connect the amp speaker wires into the head unit, because I want to connect them all here rather than running individual wires to each one of the speakers in the doors. So I will either do that from the harness, or because I know with the factory speaker wires that are back here, I know their colors. I have a diagram that tells me which color wire equals which speaker, and so I may end up doing it back there. Cleaning this up, pulling it out, trying to do that as best I can. So I'll get started here with the RCA extension and then the speaker wires. And I have a change of plans again. I ended up taking out that 12-foot RCA cable because what I was able to purchase, Menards, is all they had was 17-foot segments. So rather than doing a connection, I decided just to run two 17-foot sections. I also have the remote power on wire that I'm going to run up there, along with all of the speaker wire. And so I have three full 16-foot sections. The blue one came with the kicker kit. It was 12-foot. So what I'm going to do is strip and solder it together with this other shorter piece. So getting these connected is my next task. And I found something that I have been looking for. This wire right here coming out of the factory harness says amp turn on. So I am going to connect that to the remote wire. It will connect to the amp and connect it with one of these, I'm not sure what they're called, but screw-on connectors. As I'm going along here running these wires through, I have labeled them for the front, rear, left, and rights so that I don't lose track of which end is which. Probably a good tip there. And you can see I'm running them underneath the existing cable, but I'll bunch them up a little bit more to make sure they're nice and secure and not rattling around. Good news, now I have all of the wires fished through here, that remote connected, and I've reassembled the door hardware now, and you can see, maybe if I can get this to focus, the wires zip tied. There's a nice metal loop right here to clip them to. I may see if I can hold them up somewhere behind that ODB connection as well, but can't see them from over here. So what I'm going to do now is work on each one of these speaker wires to connect them to the speaker wires going out to the truck itself. And I will clip, I'll just remove these clips probably, and that'll create a dead end for the output from the factory head unit. And I found this nice wiring diagram that came with the instructions that Crutchfield sent with this product. So I can understand which wires need to go where, and then I'll use this, right? I could solder them all, but I don't want to solder inside the truck, and I'm not an expert solderer, so I don't want to make a mess everywhere. So I'll do these and tape them up with some electrical tape like I did the remote wire here. And finally, I stripped and connected all of the wires, so they're all back here. Wrapped them all with electrical tape just as added security around there. So I'm going to go ahead and put the unit back up where it belongs. I'm not going to fully secure everything just yet. I'm going to start securing it, but I want to make sure once I get the amp and sub plugged in and start to get things tested before I put everything back completely. And just like that, we're in the back. I've mounted the amp. I know the lighting's terrible. Mounted the amp to board, and I'm working on the wiring. And I have most of the amp wired up, so I'm sticking the ground wire. There was already a little slit, like that one right here. You just stick it up through there, and then you see the factory ground location. So I'll just connect it to there, and that is an 8mm connection. The first 8mm that I've experienced on this project so far. Everything else has been a 7 and a 10. And with the amp mounted, subwoofer is here now. This is a kicker. I forget the exact model number, but 10-inch passive down facing, so we're in the wire under here. I'll flip this down once I get the wire connected there. Subwoofer connected. Take a look back here. I need to clean things up. It's not my best carpentry work, but it's okay for now. So on this side, we have the power in, the ground out, all the speaker wires. Over here, the RCA in connections, and then I have this board screwed in and bolted back, like I said earlier, against that seat connection. And I'm happily surprised that the seat still latches properly against this. So I'm going to do some tweaking here to the gain and the other amp settings to make sure that when I go to turn the truck on, I can set it up properly. And that concludes the install video for the amp and subwoofer. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were able to learn something. I certainly did. As I said, I am an amateur at this. This was my first time going through one of these projects, but I certainly learned a thing or two and would be more efficient at this in the future. If you have questions, feel free to post them in the comments. I'll get back to them as quick as possible. And stay tuned for my future videos, which will include speakers, including the tweeters in the A-pillars that I had to do some customization to in order to get those to fit. Thank you very much.